Ladies and gentlemen, I am Yuzral, the game is Star Trek Online, and welcome once again to the Tribble Timewarp for Delta Rising. It is Sunday, the 7th of September 2014, and I need to start off this episode by confessing to a little bit of a goof. Courtesy of Sam Johnson in the credits for last night's video, I'm obliged to point out that the rewards for Reunion are in fact Mark 13 rare and not Mark 12 rare as I claimed in the video. My eyesight must have been going, it was that late at night. However, this does have a fairly significant economic consequence because Mark 13 Blue is the equivalent in function of Mark 12 Purple, which is currently, if memory serves, the best pretty much that you can get on the auction house, short of some very rare and indeed ultra rare results on the auction house. So this causes a little bit of a problem for the market. Anyone buying a very rare field generator Mark 12 or below is effectively wasting their money because they can get the same free of charge for 5 weeks wait until Delta Rising comes out. My apologies to any auction house aficionados whose market I may have just collapsed. Actually, I'm not that sorry at all. However, if you are planning to drop the money on a Mark 12 purple or below field generator, you would be well advised to just hold off for a few weeks. After all, you've managed this far without one. Moving on, credit to Alcibiades W and Sir Boulevard for pointing out some alternative sources for tech upgrade kits. Alcibiades W noted that he could get a superior engineering tech as a random drop in fluid dynamics on elite mode, worth 12,800 tech points. I still say we need a better abbreviation for that. Research points would probably work far better. For reminders, you can get the 2,000 point kits from the basic vendor for all types. We now know that the very rare kits will potentially be dropping as, well, very rare drops at random, and Sir Boulevard handily pointed me to the crafting system, where you can actually make a wide variety of these kits as upgrades, and in fact this is going to change the game quite considerably for crafting. So let's look at the science version as an example, purely because I have this level 10 and I have some pretty solid officers involved. So, basic small tech upgrade. You require a couple of basic level parts, level 5 crafting, 2,500 energy creds, if we begin that project. So, as things stand, there does not appear to be much of a difference between either the crit reward version or the basic reward version. They both give you the same kit, plus 1,500 tech points in the standard research chance. Obviously, the vendor bought kits are better for this. However, do remember the experience. 6,050, misplaced the decimal point there, and a 5-minute duration. Bear in mind that you only get 6,000 for the 20-hour farming and overnight grinding quest, so this is really efficient from a skilling up point. Start the task, it's only a 75 dilithium cost to rush the job because it's less than 5 minutes. So if we rush that, we have the kit and no upgrades. I'm assuming that was either a standard or a critical. I can't actually tell the difference. So we now have a basic size upgrade kit, 1,500 tech points, standard research chance. Still no way of actually using them, so we'll have to see what that gives us. We also have medium tech upgrades. These require green level parts. Again, we can start this going. Crit chance is slightly low, so let's lock in a couple of cheap catalysts, see what effect that has. 7% for 10 skill rating, which rather tells you what that curve is going to be. It's slightly more expensive, 6,100 experience, so less efficient for grinding by a long chalk in terms of time as well. It requires a 10-minute grind. So we'll start that, 150 dilithium for the rush job. What the hell, this is Tribble. Nice thing about this service, you don't have to worry about consequences. And oh wow, we got a crit there. We got 3 kits. So it looks like the bonus is quantity, and that's 5,000 tech points and the standard chance of a quality upgrade. Bear in mind that we don't know what the standard research chance is. It could very well be anything as low as 1% or as high as 99.999%. We simply do not know. I have to note a small bug in the crafting UI at this point. Every time you wish to go in and out of a project, it will reset your filters. In fact, no, it doesn't. It just resets the filter from show all tasks to show with met level requirement. Speaking of all tasks, there are two other kits. The first one is the Large Tech Upgrade Science Technology. This is essentially what Alcibiades W got as a drop. If we go into the details here, you can see that we require one quantum field focus, one pressurization chamber, so those are very much blue-grade materials, nothing out of the ordinary there. Quantum field focus, again, 2 levels of blue and 0 to build. In fact, you know what, let's just build one of these for giggles. Pressurization chamber, start task, rush that, and then a quantum field focus. I think I may actually have one of these, but who cares. 30 seconds, rush the job, there we go. So pick those up in a hurry. You'll note that again it has reset the filters. Show all tasks with met level requirement. Oh wait, I don't have level 15 slots, I'm not going to be able to build these anyway, what a shame. No matter, I'd also need some dentarium. So expect rare and very rare materials to escalate in price over the next few weeks as people start stockpiling to cover this. However, Large Tech Upgrade Science Technology, if I had level 15 science, which I don't, I could have combined all of these to get a superior tech upgrade. Again, 12,800 tech points. That's an odd number considering we went from 1,500 to 12.8. Makes you wonder what the requirements for tech points to upgrade a given item are going to be. And of course the blue version, you just get the 1. Standard research chance again, deflectors and science consoles. However, the kicker, reset the filters again of course, is the absolute uber version of these. Large Tech Upgrade Experimental. Same blue materials as the Large Tech Upgrade, but instead of requiring the dentarium, it requires salvage technology. Now, I've no idea where this comes from at present. It should be noted that given that this is an ultra-rare material from research and development queues, it is highly likely to only be dropping from level 60 advanced and elite queues, in which case it's going to be a while before we see it. I remind you that that is complete and total speculation on my part, but given that the principal source for the rare and indeed very rare materials was drops from normal and elite boxes, it makes sense for the very and ultra-rare drops to come from advanced and elite at level 60. So, speculation, but I think reasonable speculation, worth noting that we have a double research chance. That does rather imply that the odds of the standard research chance are going to be less than 50%, because doubling 50% of course gets you 100%, and well, that would make no sense. However, yeah, I think we're going to see people stockpile the kits and therefore the materials to start with, so expect prices to spike over the next few days on the exchange, more so than usual for the rarer stuff, and then go completely back downhill once people start getting their hands on the ultra-rare materials and start using those instead for their serious upgrades. Also, a bit of speculation on this as well, but to have these small, medium and large upgrades, particularly the smalls and the mediums, makes no sense in light of the existence of these Uber kits. However, if you are either looking to go up the cheap but inefficient way, bear in mind you're also going to need dilithium to upgrade your items per mark, I think it is entirely plausible that we'll be able to upgrade any item just about, and not just top-of-the-line Mark 11 and Mark 12 gear. So potentially we could have people upgrading their Mark 1, 2, 3, 4 arrays all the way up through their careers as they level the appropriate kits. It would certainly make much more sense, and it certainly makes the XP curve on crafting a lot more reasonable. However, let's just quickly run through and see what materials we're going to need. So from the top, beams, and thankfully it's leaving the filters intact by changing schools. So for beams you require a radiogenic particle, and that's it for the large tech upgrade. Of course, the experimental large techs will always require salvage technology and 2 blue parts. Cannons, you will require Kralon gas, engineering, Trellium K, and for some reason magnesite. I'm assuming that's just a placeholder material that hasn't been taken out yet. I find it interesting that it's in both. I'm guessing that's a copy-paste job and they just... who knows. In any event, that's a little bit of a bug, so it would seem. Ground weapons, what do we need? Sir Boulevard, I imagine, already knows this. He's been lusty after TL115. I think that was principally why he drove into ground weapons so hard. Looks like Plecton. Fair enough. I think that's actually fairly common in the... No, it isn't. Ah, they have mixed up the options for these materials. So normally for a ground purple component you need dentarium and radiogenic particles for one, and Kralon gas and Trellium K for the other. Ground weapon tech, however, just requires Plecton, so that's a different material again. They're swapping the orders around a little. It's not going to be consistent. Okay, on the large side we have, for projectile weapons, Argonite gas. Again, ultra-rare salvage tech. Science, of course, requires dentarium, and for shielding we will require Argonite gas again. Is that a copy-paste? I don't think so, since they're using the parts from the shield arrays. I think it may just be that they haven't altered that. I'm surprised none of the kits require Trellium K, but on the other hand, well, Vulcans will be Vulcans. Okay, so let's move on. Ladies and gentlemen, this is where we get into the episodic content, and everything from here on in comes with a massive spoiler warning. You have the regulation 5 seconds to switch off if you don't want to see the next episode in the Delta Rising plotline. 1. Okay, still here. So, last time we met Neelix. So, reunion is done. Now we are moving on to Friends in Unlikely Places, and I need to be Rear Admiral lower half. If you'll excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, I need to go and do some serious grinding. Also, for the record, the replay is just the 3 consoles. Oh, that is a bug. That's why it's claiming Mark 12 in the mission descriptions, but it actually gave Mark 13. That's where that mistake came from. Fine. That's what I get for looking at the journal and not for what actually gets deposited in the inventory. So, it turns out that owing to a couple of changes to the skill system, most of my old characters were corrupted and either couldn't get to level 51 properly or were bugged in various other interesting ways. So, since I've got to level up a new one, let's take a quick look at some of the changes. Most notably that Galera and Commander Minna are rocking some new eyewear, and Galera has now got a slightly smoother couch. They've both got these odd glasses. I can only assume Google is still going in the 25th century, but Galera is also pulling a Bajoran earring, which is kind of fitting with her background. She is half Klingon, half Bajoran. It's got what looks like a comm transceiver on the left-hand side. Mena is running naturally Romulan yellowy green, same basic graphic. I'm assuming that we'll be able to get these as a tailor part at some stage. Burgess is still running the old plain black uniform. Again, I kind of think it would be fitting for him to have a purple divisional stripe, since that's the colour they're using for intelligence bridge officers. Another interesting point that got spotted, and I'd like to say I was the first to notice it, but I probably wasn't, was the support arm for the orrery that just keeps rotating around. Now, where's it gone? Where's it gone? Ah, it's over the other side. So, here we are. We have what looks like a glass or force field bridge of some description. You know what? Let's turn the brightness right up quickly. Options, graphics, render quality, display, brightness. Yoink! Okay, yeah, that's overkilling it, so we can see the texture there a bit better. And that the support arm for the orrery just went clean through it. Now, I suppose you could argue that this is just a force field of some description. It knows to let the orrery arm through. However, in a bit of a fudge for the players, to stop them getting slammed into various unhealthy things like bottomless pits, it will also go clean through players. So we'll just cancel this, drop the brightness back to standard, and then wait for the arm to come on round. And here we go. Oh look, the multi-ton arm is about to smack me in the face. Oh wait, no it isn't. Don't get me wrong, it's incredibly cool that this arm is rotating. It's a lovely bit of detail to the background of the room. But perhaps fix the support arm, run a couple of beams from the arms to the projector and just have the projector spin instead. Because what we have got are these two arms that don't quite go all the way down and don't intercept the bridges. So if I can get into position to see, give you a good look at those. Yeah, here we are, this arm here. It makes sense to have those spinning because after all they don't intersect anything, they don't clash with anything. It's just that one arm that runs right the way round the height of the room. Anyhow, let's take a quick look at the tailor, see if we've got this customized clothing. So modify, body, I believe we're told we've got some new options here as well. Oh wow, I haven't looked at this in ages. So you're going to have to tell me if there's something new here. Neck length, neck bulk, yoink and yoink. Not too much of a variation there. Torso motor ribs. Yeah, there we go. It's mostly affecting the rib area, mostly visible around the back. Hips, waist, shoulder. This is, yeah, that's a fairly ridiculous level of customization for a character. But what we're really here for is uniforms. So wrist attach, eyes, head. Here we go. Eye attachment. So visor 01, 02, 03. No, we've got this standard next gen visor as well as the Dominion versions. What I don't see is the eyewear that our intelligence operatives are rocking out. So that's a bit awkward. Oh well, no matter. Exit that. And right, back to the regrind. I'll see you in a few hours' time. Something else that's popped up on this new playthrough is in the command bio ship in Mindscape. It's worth noting that when you beam in and fight the first two groups of Undine, Tuvok basically tells you straight up that you have to find and trigger the control nodes and then get access to the central nexus. However, it's worth noting that what you can't do to begin with is trigger the control nodes, despite there being very obviously usable things. There's no particular distinction between those and something your character can't use. What you have to do instead, despite being told otherwise, is attempt to enter the control nexus, get the message from the ganglia, and then find the two switches, which seems a little odd that your character has to be told something twice. It would have made much more sense from a planning point of view to be told you need to trigger the ganglions, or whatever the blazes those are, toggle along, get ambushed, pop the two nodes, and then move up with maybe a reminder if you get to the door, rather than a conditional you have to trigger this. And oh look, we've been ambushed again, what a surprise. Another interesting thing that's popped up is with Reunion. Now if I bring up the journal this time and dump it, you'll remember earlier in this episode I was having a problem whereby the rewards were Mark 13, but the journal on the replay had initially just claimed it was Mark 12. Well, it turns out that if a fresh character goes into Reunion, the mission briefing claims Mark 13 as well, so I'm guessing that's just a snafu in the briefing that is slowly being purged out. So it also turns out that what happens after you've repaired the base can be random. So Neelix takes a lap around as before. We end up helping some Talaxian citizens. Now previously we ended up speaking to the shift supervisor about a work trade that had gone wrong. This time however we've got a different contact. We're talking to Chef Jolax. The most wonderful feast, and we need to gather supplies for Talaxian spice stew. Renganzo, Spiff, Basil, Prisic... Basil? Basil's mate? Oh, Spiff, Basil. There's no comma there. Prisic and some Nimian sea salt will find what you need. His falada, onion crisp. Excellent. Well, let's go talk to people and rough them up for spices. Gamma, Maxin, not yet. Do you have anything? Spiff, Basil. How did you know? Okay. And what happened? Did the Paraka come back to life and fly off on its own? Okay, so we need to get a bottle of Renganzo. That's excellent. They are warm and generous people. Their food is certainly warm, and the stays in the toilet tend to be generous afterwards. Right, who do we need next? Back in the cargo bay, in fact. There we go. Alex. What do you say? You must be playing Lord. Do you have any spices? A bit of Prishik. Yes, thank you very much. A mother too. She always has a bit of candy. Where I come from, that gets you arrested. Also, poor dental hygiene. And finally, we need to stop by the operation spec. Aha, good. Tuvok and Nix did both follow through the tow lift. So, we have Vixen. Prepared meal, some Nimian sea salt. Excellent. A reliable guy. He's the Nimian salt. Tuvok, how did you manage 47 seconds without strangling this guy? Alright, back to the chef. So, we'll find out, I dare say, if there are any other variations on this mission. Sure, I love spicy food. I am a masochist. Now we need to go help the astrometric scientist, which gets us back onto the main mission track. Okay, let's try that again. Spend skill points. Excellent. So you can see we're now up to a cap of 332,000 at level 51. So let's just more weapons and more weapons and more weapons. And we'll dump a few points into driver coil for giggles. Okay, accept. And have we spent everything? 197 points left to spend. Fine, we should be comfortably into rank 51. No mission adding specialization points. That's odd. You'd think there'd be at least some introduction or tutorial for new admirals. However, apparently it's not to be. Maybe once we actually earn the first point. Who knows? I certainly don't, and we'll find out at some stage. So, to the Delta Quadrant once more. Needless to say, there are going to be spoilers for this because we are heading off to the next episode.